Good morning, dear students of ITE 6102 or Computer Programming 1. I am Ms. Karen V. Lara, your OLC for this subject, and I would like you all to welcome in our virtual class today. So, how's everybody? Hope that you are all doing great. So, we will start our discussion now. So from the previous modules, you have learned and identified the essential components of the work environment of a programming language. So it includes the operating system. So operating system is defined as a system software that manages computer hardware, software resources, and provides common services for computer programs. Another component is the IDE, or the Integrated Development Environment, which is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to computer programmers for software development. The IDE consists of a source code editor, a build customization tools, and a debugger. Another essential components that we have learned is a compiler, which translates computer codes written in a programming language into another language, which turns a special program into a machine language or code that a computer processor uses. Then another components is the revision control. So the revision control is also known as a version control. So it is also known as a source control. So it manages of changes made over time, and these changes can be source code that goes into a finished product. So moreover, we also learned how to configure our work environments to creating a GitHub account. I guess you have created an account and downloading a Visual Studio Code. In downloading your Visual Studio Code, it um, it will add a C++ extension or a code runner in order for you to use the C++ environment. You are also learned how to install a MinW installation manager and its other components. So let us discuss now the environment of the C++. So I have here an introduction for the C++. Let's discuss the concept first and the features of the C++. So C++ is a popular programming language. It is used to create computer programs. It is a cross-platform language that can be used to create high-performance applications. C++ was developed by Bjarne Starstrup. It is an extension to the C language. So by the way, C language was developed by Dennis Ritchie and Brian Kernighan during 1972 at the Bell Laboratories. But before we have the C language, we have the B language, which was developed by Ken Thompson. So C++ gives programmers a high level of control over system resources and memory. So the language was updated 3 times in 2011, 2014, and 2017 to C++11, C++14, and C++17. So why do we have to study C++? So what are the different reasons why we are going to study this particular programming language? So C++ is one of the world's most popular programming languages, and it can be found in today's operating system, GUI or graphical user interfaces, and other embedded systems. C++ is also an object-oriented programming language which gives a clear structure to programs and allows code to be reused or recycled, lowering development cost. So C++ is portable and can be used to develop applications that can be added to multiple platforms. C++ is fun and easy to learn. And C++ is close to C Sharp and Java, which makes it easy for programmers to switch to C plus or vice versa. So the next slide will basically discusses or demonstrates the basic C++ environment. So before we start using C++, we need two things. We need a text editor, which we use to write the C++ codes, and a compiler, which translates the C++ code into a language that the computer will understand. So the numbers here in the presentation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, those are represented by the number of lines. So these lines will guide you in identifying and debugging errors in your program. So basically a simple C++ program which displays the output hello world. So we have the hashtag include IOStream. Next line we have using namespace std. Then we have the blank space. Then we have int main, the open curly brace, cout, hello world, return 0, and the close curly brace. So to further discuss the uses of the different syntax of the C++, we have here an explanation. So the line 1 include IOStream. IOStream stands for input output stream, a header file that describes the file stream. And this is used to handle data being read from a file as input or data being written into the file as output. So these header files are included in the C++ library to provide functionality. For line 2, we uses namespace std, which means that we can use names for objects and variables from the standard libraries. And these libraries can be found in the C++ compiler. So for line 3, we have a blank or white space, which are being ignored by the compiler. So another thing that always appears in the C++ program is line 4, the int main. So this signifies the main function of the program. So any code inside its curly brackets will be executed. So by the way, the left curly brace signifies the end of the program, and the right curly brace signifies the end of the program. So for line 5, we use a cout. Cout pronounced as cout. It is an object used together with the insertion operator or the two less than symbol. This is used to output or print text. And then we display hello world. Hello world in this slide is enclosed in double quotes, which means that we are going to display a string. Line 6 returns 0, which ends the main function or your int main. And we have to add closing curly brackets to actually end the main function. For the next slide, we have here different points to remember or notes to remember when executing your program. So always remember that every C++ statement ends with a semicolon. Same with C language and Java language. So the body of int main could also be written as int main, open and close parenthesis, your open curly brace, cout, hello world, return 0, semicolon, and the close curly brace. So the compiler ignores white spaces. Just like the comments that are written inside the program, they are also ignored by the compiler. However, it is a best practice in programming that you use multiple lines, which makes the code more readable, also known as the art of programming. So the cout objects together with the insertion operator is used to output values for printx. So the C++ symbol, the C++ syntax, sorry, You can add as many cout objects as you want. However, note that it does not insert a new line at the end of the output. So from the previous program, Hello World, so we are going to add another cout, or we're going to display another statement, which is I am learning C++. So in this particular example, so the output will be displayed on the same line. So we have hello world, I am learning C++. But if you want your program to display on the next line, we are going to use the \n. So for this example, we have cout hello world. So again, so since we're going to display a string of characters, so you have to enclose it in a double quote. So we have hello world \n and then cout, I am learning C++. So the output will be displayed on the next line. So we have first line hello world and second line I am learning C++. So I have mentioned a while ago the comments. So what are these comments? So comments can be used to explain the C++ code and to make it more readable. It can also be used to prevent execution when testing alternative codes. And comments are being ignored by the compiler. So it basically used as a guide by the programmer to easily debug and identify errors. So we have kinds of errors in programming. So we have the syntax or the runtime error. So we have here two types of errors. We have the single line or the multi-line comments. So the single line starts with a two forward slashes. So any text between these two forward slashes and at the end of the line is ignored by the compiler, or it will not be executed by the program. So here is the example of a single line comment. So we have a single line comments before a line of code. So before displaying the hello world, we indicate we place a comment. So double slash, this is a comment, and then cout hello world. Another example of the single line comment at the end of a line code. So we have cout hello world, and then slash, this is a comment. For the multi-line comment, we are going to start with a slash, asterisk, and ends with asterisk slash. So any text between these symbols are again being ignored by the compiler. So we have include IOStream using namespace std. And then after your main program or the main function, we're going to write your comment. So the code below will print hello world to the screen, and it is amazing. So cout hello world return 0. So we also uses different we also uses variables in programming. So these variables are containers for storing data values in C++, and there are different types of variables defined in different keywords. So by the way, in programming, we have keywords or reserved words. So these keywords or reserved words should not be used as a variable or identifier in your program because they have special functions in programming. So these are the examples of the variables. So we have the int or the integer. It stores integer or whole numbers without decimal. So example 1, 2, 3 or negative 1, 2, 3, 59, 1, 2, 3. Next we have double. It stores floating point numbers or numbers with decimal points such as 19.99 or negative 19.99, 523.23 and so on and so forth. Next, we have the char or character. Store single characters such as A, B, and it is enclosed in a single code. Next, we have strings. So stores text such as hello world. String values are surrounded by double quotes. And then we have the bool or the boolean, which stores values with two states, true or false, or 1 and 0. So how do we declare variables? So to create a variable, you must specify the type and assign it a value. So the syntax is type variable is equal to value. So the type here is one of C++ types such as integer, double, float, and variable is the name of the variable such as, for example, an x, y, num, or my name, and the equal sign is used to assign values to the variable. So how do we declare variable inside a program? So to create a variable that should store a number, so we have here an example. So after your main function, we declared here a variable. So we have int my num is equal to 15. So this particular type of variable is a local variable. So because it is declared inside the main function. So we have cout, my num, and then return 0 and close curly brace. So what is the output of the program? So basically the output of the program is you are just going to display the variable my num, which is 15. So next, we have other data types demonstration. So we have int my num is equal to 5, which is for an integer. So basically without a decimal point. Double my float num, so a floating point number with decimal. We have here for character, which is enclosed in a single quote, and a string my text, which is enclosed in a double quotes. And then for boolean, which can have a value of true or false. So how do we add variables inside our program? So to add a variable to another variable, you can use the plus operator. So for example, we have here an integer x. So integer is a data type which holds a whole number value. X is a representation of your integer which will have or hold a value of 5, as well as integer y which will hold a value of 6. So if you're going to add this one, so we have int sum is equal to x plus y. So basically 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So it will display a value of 11. So what are those C++ identifiers? So C++ identifiers are user defined. So all C++ variable must be identified with unique names. So these unique names are called identifiers. So identifiers can be a short names like X and Y, A, B, C, or more descriptive names. So it is recommended to use descriptive names in numbers to create understandable and maintainable code. For example, if you're going to generate a calculator, so it's better that you use identifiers such as sum, difference, or add, subtract, multiply, divide. So these are the rules for the general rules for constructing names for variables. So names can obtain letters, digits, and underscores. Names must begin with a letter or an underscore. Names are case sensitive. So what do you mean by case sensitive? So since C++ implements case sensitivity, lowercase and uppercase letters are treated differently. So that is case sensitivity. So in this particular example, so my var with capital V and my var with a small v are different variables. So names cannot contain white spaces or embedded blanks or special characters like exclamation point, hashtag, percentage, and it cannot also use reserved words or keywords because they have special functions in your C program. So what are C++ constant? So when we talk about constant, these are values that cannot be changed during program execution. When you do not want others or yourself to override existing variable values, use the const keyword. This will declare the variable as constant, which means unchangeable and read-only. So we have here an example of constant values. So the minute per hour has a constant value of 60 and a pi, which has a constant value of 3.14. So float because it has a decimal point, and int because it's a whole number. So this is the example. So const int, so for constant, integer minutes per hour will hold a value of 60, and constant float pi, which will have a value of 3.14. So we are going to display the value of the minutes per hour, which is 60 here, and the value of pi, which is 3.14. So we're done with the variable declaration, identifier. Now let's try to discuss user input. So you have already learned that cout is used to output or print values. Now we will use cin to get user input. So cin is a predefined variable that reads data from the keyboard with the extraction operator, or the two greater than symbol. In the following example, the user can input a number which is stored in the variable x. Then we are going to print the value of x. So we have here integer x as your variable. We have cout, type a number. So for our comment here, so remember this is a comment. So you will be asked to input a number or type a number. And then cout, it will hold the value of your inputted number. So get user input from the keyboard. And then